Hey everyone, this is a tank ad for heroic Alysrazor in Firelands. Alysrazor will not be tankable until much later in the fight, so don't worry about that for now. She'll start off by spamming her Blazing Claw frontal as she moves across the arena, just don't be in front of her during this time. Once she flies into the air, Blazing Talon Initiate ads will spawn. These don't need to be tanked, but you should help kill them anytime there isn't a Voracious Hatchling up. 2 eggs will get dropped near the middle of the room, and about 8 seconds after they're dropped, they'll spawn a Voracious Hatchling. This will permanently fixate the player closest to it at the time it spawns, giving them the imprinted debuff, which increases the player's damage done to the hatchling by 1000%. Hatchlings will also start with a 10-second satiated buff. Once this buff wears off, they'll get the hungry buff that gives them a 20% chance on hit to proc Tantrum, which increases their damage and attack speed by 50%. Our goal is to never let them get the Tantrum buff, and if they do, we need to use a defensive CD. 4 small lava worms will spawn at the same time as the hatchlings. When a hatchling moves near a worm, it will eat it, removing it from the fight and refreshing the satiated buff. You'll notice these lava worms do a spinning frontal, so it's important to make sure you get them all eaten before both hatchlings die, even if you don't need a satiated buff refresh. Blood DKs can kill hatchlings so quickly there isn't really a need to min-max satiate uptime. Other tanks will want to wait until satiate fully falls off before eating a worm and should plan to use defensive CDs during satiate downtime. Hatchlings will also cast Gushing Wound, a 10-yard frontal bleed. This bleed will be removed if the target's HP goes below 50%. Keep an eye on where you're facing your hatchling, but it's more on the raid to just not be near lava worms so you can do your job effectively. If you're using 2 tanks, have each tank assigned to a side of the room. Each tank will be responsible for the Voracious Hatchling and 2 lava worms on their side. It's easiest to tank your hatchling between the 2 lava worms to start with, and then move toward whichever one has the more favorable rotation. If you're solo tanking, you'll need to be between the 2 hatchlings when they spawn, but not directly in the middle, and the raid will need to make sure to be extra far from them. A meteor will also spawn in the middle of the room and roll in a random direction. Your ranged DPS will be in charge of killing this before it hits a wall, you just need to dodge it. It will often go in the direction of one of the hatchlings, so be prepared to dodge this right as you're picking up your hatchling, and don't stand in the area directly between the 2 hatchlings where it spawns. You'll see some feathers on the ground throughout the fight. These give a 30% movement speed buff per feather and allow you to fly once you have 3. The tank roll on this fight is very easy to do without any feathers, but if there's a leftover feather, you could get a little speed boost. Alysrazor will periodically cast Firestorm, which can be line of sighted with an inactive meteor. At this point, you'll just keep repeating everything you've already done until phase 2 begins when Fiery Vortex is cast, which summons a bunch of fire tornadoes, and you just need to dodge them. You must be within 60 yards of the middle of the room or you'll get harsh winds, which will kill you very quickly. Phase 3 will begin when Alysrazor gets tired and takes a nap until she reaches 50 energy. Just taunt her and pump as much damage as you can with the 50% damage amp. Claw Shaper ads will spawn far away and should be gripped and interrupted. They'll cast Ignition, which restores energy to Alysrazor, shortening our damage amp window. At 50 energy, phase 4 will begin and Alysrazor will wake up and spam her Blazing Claw frontal, so make sure you have aggro before this and are on the opposite side of the raid. It'll deal physical damage and stack a 10% increased physical and fire damage taken debuff on anyone in front. You'll only be taking these for about 20 seconds before she flies off, so you can easily have CDs up for the entire time. Once she flies off, she'll reset back to phase 1, and you'll just repeat everything you've already done until you kill her. If you want to support me, you can help me out by liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.